Around 1880, a woman in lingerie poses in a saloon, an image of dance, desire, and gambling-fueled escapism. Around 1900, women kneel to ask husbands' forgiveness, a revealing tradition rooted in the rigid gender roles of the Wild West. Captured at 14, Olive Oatman endured loss and captivity. Her Mojave tattoos became symbols of survival in frontier history. This 1897 photo captures the Hatfield clan, infamous for their deadly feud with the McCoys, an enduring tale of post-war vengeance. 4 frontier women pose with horses near a humble home in 1885, elegant figures against the rugged Wild West backdrop. Around 1890, Pawnee Bill and wife May pose proudly. Her medals and rifle showing skill matched his fame in the arena. In 1899, 3 women in elegant dresses pose downtown, capturing the charm and social life of post-church Sundays in Texas. Texas cowboys pose proudly before a massive cattle drive, showcasing their vital role in shaping Wild West ranching around 1901. In 1898, Virginia City, Nevada, Dead-Eye Dick stands with friends, capturing the lively, gritty charm of a Wild West saloon. Between 1912 to 1915, a native couple rides horseback through Glacier National Park, baby and cradleboard, travois trailing through breathtaking terrain. A Texas family poses stiffly in 1918. Serious expressions reflect long exposure times and early photography's somber, formal style. In 1902, Tonopah, 2 women on horseback pose outside a saloon, one believed to be Wyatt Earp's wife, Josephine. This 1876 photo shows Deadwood's rugged frontier layout, Bighorn Store in view, a vital stop for miners and travelers. In 1902, XIT Ranch cowboys pause by their wagon, horses grazing nearby, a rare break in rugged panhandle life. In 1888, a man returns on horseback with antelope, his successful hunt capturing frontier self-reliance and sharpshooting skill. Dodge City, circa 1872, buzzed with trade. This storefront stocked weapons for buffalo hunters and travelers seeking frontier protection. Around 1916, 4 fearless cowgirls pose before a stagecoach, showcasing the strength and style of women in Western entertainment. In 1889, Sioux City travelers crowd into a horse-drawn carriage, eager for adventure at the famed Great Hot Springs. Around 1900, Harry Payton plays violin by the fire, dressed frontier style beneath a shotgun, blending music and rugged tradition. In 1887, tents and gear at Peck's Lake reflect life at an Arizona hunting camp, 21 miles from Fort Verde. In 1886, Nebraska, a pioneer family trails their wagon across open plains, driven by hope during the Great Westward Migration. In 1895, miners pose 260 meters underground in Nevadaville, surrounded by darkness. Their faces tell of danger and unyielding labor. Around 1903, women play billiards, capturing a rare rebellious moment that challenged the gender norms of the early 20th century. Around 1891, Native American women gather inside a roofless tent, sharing moments of community within simple, enduring shelter. Around 1900, gamblers focus intently at Bisbee's Orient Saloon. Cards, chips, and risk define this classic Wild West pastime. Telluride's Cosmopolitan Saloon buzzed in 1905. Gambling, whiskey, and bold bets made it a hotbed of risk and mountain fortune. In 1875, Austin, Texas, wagons and pedestrians fill Congress Avenue. Wood and brick buildings reveal the city's rising frontier energy. The Hatfield family, Armed and intense in 1897 West Virginia, posed together, men ready for conflict, women and children held close. Two hunters proudly pose with a moose at D.K. Hickok Camp, celebrating triumph deep in Oregon's rugged Coast Range. In a rare, relaxed moment, Billy the Kid plays cards, his weapons nearby, a calm contrast to his violent reputation. A 21-year-old James Wild Bill Hickok poses in Kansas, already serving as a lawman in Monticello Township, 1858. Wyatt Earp, famed for the OK Corral shootout, later lived quietly in Los Angeles, inspiring early Western Hollywood films. Dominic O'Malley, the cowboy poet, sits for a portrait in 1896. His verses captured the soul of frontier life. This 1890s gang photo shows men fated for tragedy. Only 2 of 11 members lived to see the 1900s. A Native American soldier in uniform stands armed at Fort Custer, 1885, part of U.S. cavalry missions in the frontier. Jesse James, ex-Confederate, led the James Younger Gang, robbing trains and banks. He became one of America's most infamous outlaws. Bat Masterson, famed lawman of Dodge City and Adobe Walls hero, later traded guns for journalism in New York. Johnny Ringo, feared leader of the Cochise County Cowboys, clashed with Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday in legendary Tombstone. John Wesley Hardin, feared across the West, reportedly killed over 27 men, his legend fueled by violence and wanted posters. Cowboys on horseback lasso a gray wolf in 1887 Wyoming, showcasing frontier toughness against the wild, open prairie backdrop. Do you think life back then was harder or simpler than today? We'd love to hear your take on frontier life. Inside an 1872 Idaho ranch, weapons line the walls, tools for hunting and defense in the unforgiving Wild West frontier. Rose Dunn, Cimarron Rose, became legendary for crossing gunfire to arm outlaws during a violent shootout in the West. In 1864, Atlanta, a black Union soldier rests outside a slave auction house, an image of freedom beside deep injustice. In 1886, Buffalo Bill poses with Pawnee and Sioux tribesmen, an iconic image of performance and culture in frontier shows. Buffalo Bill appears with 1895 cabinet cards, printed souvenirs dramatizing shootouts, raids, and Western myths for show audiences nationwide. This 1890s Colorado shop sold boots and goods, doubling as a stopover for passing workers and weary travelers alike. Doc Holliday, tubercular dentist turned gunslinger, made history at the OK Corral, his legend forged in blood and smoke. Around 1900, a Kansas taxidermy shop displays bison heads, symbols of commerce to settlers, sacred lifeblood to native tribes. Annie Oakley, famed sharpshooter, rose to stardom at 16, outshooting men and captivating Wild West show crowds for decades. Men gather for a simple meal beside a wagon in 1900 Texas, capturing the rugged routine of field labor life. Dallas Stoudenmire, a fearless lawman, earned notoriety with his guns, buried in Texas with legend intact. In 1907, First Street in Luling, Texas bustles with wagons and walkers, downtown alive with commerce and community pride. In 1902, cowboys lounge in a Dallas saloon, lamplight, polished bar, and laughter set the scene for frontier storytelling. A Crow soldier of Troop L stands proud at Fort Custer, 1892, where native identity met frontier military duty. In 1894, Alaska, men in animal skins pose outside the Chilkat post office, pelts hanging, commerce rooted in survival. In 1903, Tonopah, Nevada, miners and merchants fill the streets, capturing the energy of a town born from gold fever. In 1870, a Mormon wagon train crosses Echo Canyon. Families in search of freedom and faith shape the American frontier. General Custer stands with 3 native scouts outside his tent, an image of uneasy alliances during the Yellowstone expedition's tense days. This 1869 image shows Wyoming's Green River Station, a crucial hub for freight, passengers, and expansion into the vast West. In 1896, Montana, 3 horses, 2 with travois, carry supplies and a child, showcasing indigenous methods of transport on open land. In 1875, a proud hunter's trophy-filled wagon turns heads on 16th Street, highlighting Denver's blend of grit and commerce. In 1880, wagons roll through Telluride, then Columbia, just before the gold rush transforms it into a booming mining hotspot. In 1907, Arizona, a man fills his barrel from a remote well, simple survival in the dry, unforgiving frontier. Soldiers surround tents and gear in this 1871 photo, capturing daily military life during the frontier's turbulent conflict years. In 1907, Tonopah, Nevada, a crowd gathers at the train station, capturing the bustle of frontier life and new opportunity. Between 1884 to 1887, 3 women and a soldier ride at Fort Verde, showcasing women's presence in military and frontier communities alike. Circa 1890, 5 hunters in the Dakotas display birds and dogs, offering a glimpse into frontier sport and survival. This 1873 image shows a humble mission church in Zuni Pueblo, its architecture echoing early religious roots of Western expansion. Around 1905, a lone prospector sits before his floating shack, symbolizing the resilience and rough living of Western gold seekers. Between 1887 to 1892, wagons haul goods through the Black Hills, lifelines for isolated frontier communities in rugged Western terrain. A man chisels a wooden cross at Custer Battlefield, honoring Lieutenant Crittenden's courage during the 1876 Little Bighorn Battle. In 1886, Charles Meeks poses with his horse and rifle, symbolizing the grit and duty of youth on the frontier. A Nebraska family stands outside their humble home, Solomon Butcher's lens capturing hardship, grit, and pioneer spirit between 1886 to 1891. Miners with picks and shovels dig in Columbia, California, risking everything for a chance at riches during the gold rush. Cowboys gather at Ox Ranch in 1886 for dinner, a rare break in their hard life on Texas cattle land. In 1888, engineers and surveyors chart rugged land with basic tools, pioneering railroads that stitched the Wild West together. The Cosmopolitan Saloon in 1872, Yosemite Valley served as a rustic gathering place, its wooden build echoing the mountain surroundings. Photographed in 1871, this Yellowstone tribe family lived in Idaho's mountains, surviving by hunting wild sheep in remote terrain. Which tradition or detail surprised you the most from these images? Was it the gambling, the stagecoaches, or something more unexpected? In 1873, Utah, a Native American stands atop a timber watchtower, keeping vigilant guard over the forested Wasatch Wilderness below. Around 1902, cowboys gather on the Texas plains, sharing breakfast beside a chuck wagon after long days on horseback. Military Plaza, bustles in 1887 San Antonio. Wagons, vendors, and townsfolk trading goods in the Wild West's commercial heart. In 1880 Oregon, a man proudly displays his game, highlighting the era's rugged hunting culture and frontier self-sufficiency. In 1908, Montana, 4 Atsina warriors on horseback surveyed distant tents, capturing the tense calm before conflict on tribal land. Circa 1900, cowboys and horses gather near Dodge City's water source, reflecting the town's key role in Western cattle trade. Around 1900 near Lexington, Kentucky, children ride to class in a wagon, an early solution before the era of school buses. In 1866, wagons and townsfolk swarm Virginia City's Wells Fargo office, capturing the chaos and commerce of the mining boom. San Antonio's Commerce Street thrives in 1892. Vendors, carriages, and pedestrians animate this snapshot of a booming South Texas city. Pine Street bustles in 1881. Abilene, lined with saloons, shops, and wagons, it buzzed with cowboys and traveling traders. Circa 1900, Lucille Mulhall stuns crowds at the 101 Ranch, mastering horses and lassos as one of America's first cowgirls. In 1890, North Carolina, horses are exchanged mid-patrol, vital to keep Western expeditions moving across vast, rugged terrain. In the 1890s, a man and his loaded burro traversed the Oklahoma plains, searching for fortune during the land rush. Around 1897, miner George Carmack stands proudly with signature mustache, framed by a wooden cabin and frontier determination. Wagons rot and buildings collapse in this abandoned 1865 Wyoming town, its eerie silence echoing the forgotten dreams of pioneers. Between 1895 to 1896, students and teachers pose at a Nevada mining camp school. Simple structure, powerful symbol of Western perseverance. Circa 1880, a man dances at gunpoint in a rustic bar, capturing the Wild West's brutal humor and lawless spirit. Circa 1880, water gushes from an artesian well in Kern County, marking victory against drought in California's parched land. Gilt Edge, Montana, in 1905, miners' shops, hotels, and tethered horses capture the rhythm of a quiet, hard-working western town. Near Sturgis, in 1888, a lone cowboy on horseback symbolizes the rugged independence of life on the western frontier. Captured by John C.H. Grable, Native Americans skin a bovine, showcasing essential hunting and food practices on the western frontier. In 1873, Sheridan, Kansas, hunters lived in improvised homes, functional dwellings for those chasing bison across open plains. This early 1900s restaurant in Renton, Washington, features wooden architecture, simple, sturdy, and typical of Western small-town construction. 4 men walk Eureka's dusty streets in 1900. Its rough buildings and raw terrain capture a town at its birth. At Nevada's Dama newspaper office in 1895, staff print by hand, revealing the labor and craft behind early frontier journalism. Around 1890, 4 men and a bartender pose inside a saloon. Wood-paneled charm and bold characters define the Western spirit. In 1890, Santa Fe, saloons and shops line the road, bustling with trade in a key southwestern city of the frontier. In 1908, Jackson, Wyoming, cowboys crowd a rustic bar. Hats, laughter, and rugged decor fuel the town's Wild West soul. In rural 1907 Texas, children of all ages gather outside a one-room school, education in its most modest, determined form. Circa 1900, Nebraska. Pool tables, lined bottles, and mustached bartenders define this small-town saloon and gathering place for locals. In 1887, Apache spirit dancers perform in haunting masks, mystical rituals that stirred awe and fear on the wild frontier. Between 1885 to 1890, immigrants crossed Texas in ox-drawn wagons, families chasing new beginnings across the dusty trails of San Angelo. In 1907, Adele Von Ole Parker stuns Wild West crowds. Her equestrian brilliance made her a key act in Buffalo Bill's show. Mounted and resolute in Bonham, Texas, black cowboys pose proudly, embodying grit, pride, and strength in the face of history. In 1898, Jerome, Arizona, Jenny Boner stands proudly at her bordello, once the richest woman in the territory, dressed in black. In 1880, Montana, the Bob Saloon welcomes dusty travelers, log walls echoing with beer, business, and bold frontier stories. In 1913, Kosciuszko, Mississippi, child laborers in cotton mills endure long days, faces of early industrial hardship in the Deep South. This 1900 photo reveals Morency's thriving copper mine, an emblem of Western ingenuity and the rise of desert industrialization. In 1875, Jim Hawkins poses with rifles, founder of Company D. His image reflects the fierce law of Texas's wild frontier. At King Ranch in 1890, 5 Texas Rangers raise rifles, ready, vigilant, and embodying the law's rough edge in the West. Have you ever visited a real Wild West town or historic site? Share your experience. We're all ears. On May 14, 1862, African Americans gather in Virginia, freed yet displaced, caught between freedom and uncertainty during the Civil War. In 1873, near Camp Apache, armed Cayotero warriors stand proudly, spears and bows in hand, fierce symbols of indigenous resistance. In Cotulla, Texas, Rangers pose proudly in 1887, legendary lawmen whose exploits filled dime novels and defined frontier justice. Between 1887 to 1892, Native leaders meet U.S. authorities, an image of uneasy negotiations during the West's rapid territorial expansion. In 1875, Utah, LDS missionaries baptize Paiute Native Americans, reflecting spiritual outreach during the complex wave of westward expansion. Circa 1895 in Creede, Colorado, passengers crowd the platform, railroads fueling frontier growth and linking remote towns to the nation. In 1908, Kansas, a family rides in a covered wagon, their young son, rifle in hand, prepared for frontier survival. In 1880, Bodie, California, crowds gather at Mono County Bank, gold rush riches fueling explosive growth in this legendary mining town. In 1886, Beauregard and I. Steele stand outside their Colorado pawn shop, playful signage capturing the wit of frontier entrepreneurship. In Colorado, a miner rests with family. Power lines behind them signal early electrification near a major mine before 1900. This 1890 photo shows a lively saloon scene, Western camaraderie, laughter, and the essence of frontier gatherings in full swing. In 1889, South Dakota's Minnetonka Hotel rises grandly, its ornate balconies drawing travelers to the healing waters of hot springs. In 1889, South Dakota, 3 men and a dog wade icy waters, driven by past gold rush tales and fresh hope. Wilton, North Carolina in 1890, sparse buildings and broad roads reflect the quiet, early layout of this rural southern town. General W.J. Colby stands armed in 1899, his Mauser carbine a symbol of grit during the fierce battles of the Boer War. Between 1880 to 1890, native camps feature tents and meat dryers, showcasing traditional food preservation techniques across the open frontier. In 1874, Utah, a Native American boy poses with his dog, reflecting the deep bond between indigenous families and their animals. In 1905, Native American chiefs pose on horseback, armed and adorned, representing both cultural pride and resistance to colonization. Between 1887 to 1892, cowboys rope a buffalo mid-hunt, capturing the fierce pursuit that fueled the animal's tragic decline on the plains. Around 1900, a traction engine hauls freight through the Mojave Desert, engineering strength driving progress across unforgiving western terrain. In 1889, Hunter Art Pullum stands ready in West Union, his gear telling the story of daily survival in the frontier. Circa 1875, a man develops photos in Utah, revealing the delicate, hands-on artistry of early Western photography. Between 1880 to 1910, a four-horse wagon rolls through Dodge City, a classic image of Western transport and bustling frontier life. Cowboys rest along Montana's Yellowstone River. Makeshift pots and fires reflect the humble, rugged routines of frontier camp life. Around 1898, miners pose by cabins and pack animals, capturing the harsh, improvised lifestyle of Western gold-seeking communities. Founded in 1882, Kingston thrived after silver's discovery. Its main street once saw legends like Twain, Cassidy, and Billy the Kid. In 1890, Sonora, armed men protect a Wells Fargo wagon. Heightened security reveals the constant threat of stagecoach robberies. On January 19, 1891, tents line Pine Ridge, capturing the U.S. Army's presence amid fragile peace after Wounded Knee. In the early 1900s, a Lakota family poses outside a wooden cabin, reflecting resilience and adaptation in changing frontier times. Around 1900, 20 mule teams haul freight from Death Valley, enduring brutal terrain to supply remote corners of the American West. Around 1880, ore wagons roll through Silver King, Arizona, capturing the energy of a booming town built on mining dreams. Around 1900, two miners in a gnome cabin weigh gold, capturing the tension and hope of Alaska's intense gold rush. Residents watch helplessly as fire consumes homes. This haunting 1906 image reflects the devastation following San Francisco's massive earthquake. This 1888 photo shows a modest Dakota ranch house, its simple wooden frame echoing the resilience of early frontier settlers. In 1899, Alaska, Courtney's tent store and post office serve Klondike-bound prospectors braving the frozen trail to Goldfields. In 1903, wagons and rope-guided travelers brave a Colorado River crossing, ingenuity and grit powering westward movement through tough terrain. In 1871, cowboys and Native Americans posed together, symbolizing a rare, peaceful moment amid the hardships of the untamed West. Between 1900 to 1905, three miners gather at a loaded wagon in Goldfield, symbolizing the non-stop hustle of Nevada's booming gold frontier. Alaskan gold miners brave freezing conditions in 1898, posing proudly as they chase fortune in the rugged Klondike frontier. In early 1900s, Webb, Kansas, wagons and walkers fill the street. Small shops signal rising trade in a growing prairie town. This bustling late 1800s grocery store offers meats, cigars, and liquor, its doorway alive with constant loading and local trade. Between 1880 to 1910, cowboys rest beside supply-laden wagons, capturing the quiet, rugged rhythm of daily life on the Western Trail. Between 1890 to 1900, Lion Well in the Colorado desert serves parched travelers where even water became a precious commodity for survival. Founded in 1854, the H.N. Brown Store stocked essentials, serving settlers and miners in the ever-expanding American West. Circa 1900, miners relax inside the Yellow Aster Saloon, wood, canvas, and whiskey, offering escape after long, dusty shifts underground. In 1906, Oregon, pioneers rest as a train hauls logs over a wooden bridge. Rail expansion meets rugged mountain challenges. In 1880, uniformed Native American officers stand armed, charged with enforcing law and order within their own frontier communities. Around 1895, a family stands beside a logger's cabin in New Mexico, capturing the quiet perseverance of frontier mountain life. In 1899, Seattle pioneer David Denny sits outside a logger's cabin, his quiet life reflecting the grit of Northwestern settlement. Texas gunslinger John King Fisher rose fast. An outlaw turned sheriff, his violent end sealed his legend in Wild West lore. Captured between 1880 to 1897, Rancho's buildings reflect New Mexico's blend of Hispanic roots and regional architecture on the American frontier. In 1886, Nebraska, butchers, children, and horses bustle near a cart, showcasing daily trade and rural life at Saigon May Market. In 1890, adobe shops, wagons, and locals fill Santa Fe's San Francisco Street, blending heritage and charm in the desert air. In 1889, two overland coaches cross a bridge. Passengers wave their hats in a rare, cheerful moment on the Western Trail. Between 1887 to 1889, men gamble at Doyle Ranch. Bets range from coins to cattle, blending tension, bluffing, and frontier leisure. 100 oldest photos of New York you've never seen. Get ready to step back in time. These 100 rare and oldest photos of New York capture the city like you've never seen it before. Raw, historic, and absolutely breathtaking. Contestants line up in period swimsuits and shy smiles for a quirky contest at Coney Island's Luna Park on Independence Day. A lifeguard poses watchfully at Brighton Beach, dressed in the distinctive period attire of early 20th century coastal safety. Children and adults share a cramped, shadowy courtyard in a Baxter Street tenement, revealing the closeness and hardship of tenement life. A vibrant Brooklyn intersection alive with pedestrians, horse carts, and electric trolleys, all sharing the streets of Borum Hill. A rich portrayal of Chinatown's daily rhythm, a portrait of community, culture, and resilience. Immigrant children recite the Pledge of Allegiance, a moving tribute to hope and the American dream. Located at the old slip piers along the East River at the foot of Wall Street, the banana docks earned their name from the constant unloading of bananas and tropical fruits from ships arriving from around the world. People pose in a narrow, infamous alley near 5 Points, a haunting portrait of a rough, neglected corner of the Lower East Side. A serene street scene as pedestrians navigate 5th Avenue and 27th Street following a heavy snowfall. Girls with doll sleds participate in the children's parade, snowy joy from upstate New York's cherished celebration. Since the turn of the 20th century, New Yorkers and visitors alike have enjoyed strolling down the mall in Central Park. A view down Fifth Avenue prior to motorized vehicles is a stark difference to the road we know today. On one of New York's many cobblestone streets, a group of children plays carefree beside a decomposing horse, an everyday sight amid early 20th century city life. A curious scene at Coney Island, adults captivated by the novelty of a miniature electric railway ride at Luna Park. A small group of the poor pose in one of New York's Lower East Side slums. Their expressions reflect the weight of daily survival. A bustling day on the sands of Coney Island as beachgoers enjoy the sun and sea, capturing a relaxed and joyful summer atmosphere. Looking west toward Allen Street, this Manhattan view captures the bustling urban pulse and architectural growth of early 20th century New York. A portrait of a woman in a swimsuit alongside a swimming instructor who bears a striking resemblance to Nikola Tesla, lying near the waves at Midland Beach. Figures wrapped in snow cross the streets of New York in quiet determination during a fierce winter storm. Elegant men and women stroll in front of the plaza between 57th and 59th Streets, with carriages lining the curb. An aerial view of the crowds celebrating New Year's Eve in Times Square. A group of people look out from the outdoor viewing platform of the Empire State Building over New York. Portrait of a group of women on a sidewalk in Little Italy. On VE Day, May 8, 1945, or Victory in Europe Day, a woman laughs as she throws ticker tape over a balcony. A child waves the United States flag from the crown of the Statue of Liberty. A woman reads a book next to the Washington Square Park fountain in the late 1940s. Pedestrians weave their way through the city's notorious traffic. Bystanders gather around to watch 15-year-old Valerie Harper, a ballet dancer from Jersey City and future star of the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Rhoda, execute a flying split. Crowds gather outside the original Nathan's Famous hot dog stand on Coney Island. Two models wearing fur muffs, velvet dome hats, and baby waist dresses walk across the Tudor City Bridge during a photo shoot for Vogue. Three pedestrians with umbrellas struggle against snow and wind as they cross an intersection at 148th Street in Harlem. The Radio City Rockettes perform during the 1964 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Civil rights advocates march in Harlem to protest racial violence in Selma, Alabama. A helicopter lands on the roof of the Pan Am building, now the MetLife building designed by German architect and Bauhaus founder Walter Gropius. A view of businesses on the corner of 7th Avenue and 42nd Street in Times Square. Riders in a subway car in 1976, complete with an iconic Lark Cigarettes ad. New Yorkers jammed the Brooklyn Bridge in 1978 after a major power outage shut down the subway system. Breakdancers, or B-boys, perform on a sidewalk in Greenwich Village. Two men watched the Gay Pride Parade in 1984. Pedestrians walk past the entrance to the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street. A pizza delivery man shields himself from the epic blizzard that hit New York City in March 1993, one of the worst storms in a decade. A kaleidoscopic crowd of 30,000 runners crosses the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge in Staten Island during the New York City Marathon. Imagine paying 2, 3, or 5 cents for anything nowadays. Here you can see what New York City food carts looked like years ago in 1938. Taken in 1937, you can see a functioning farm out in Otsego County. A Yorkville street band entertaining all those who walk by. Imagine the music they were playing in 1937. Music was one of the small ways Americans could take their mind off of all that was going on during the 1930s. Taken in Cooperstown, here you can see a sawmill coming together in 1937. Newspapers for sale in New York City. If only we could read this 1939 newspaper today. Suffering from tuberculosis, here you can see a family pictured in Albany County. Farmers markets will always be one of our favorite places to go shopping, no matter what year it is. Can you imagine using this horse-drawn wagon as your moving truck in modern times? Taken in 1938, you can see a New Yorker moving out of their apartment. We'll never stop window shopping. Here you can see someone looking at the display in Bergdorf Goodman. When the days of single-room schoolhouses were still alive. Here, you can see a group children sitting outside of an Albany County schoolhouse. The residence of lawyer and entrepreneur Elliot Fitch Shepard and his wife, Margaret Vanderbilt Shepard, daughter of William H. Vanderbilt, at 2 West 52nd Street. Two women stroll by a line of horse-drawn carriages, then the equivalent of taxicabs, near Madison Square. A woman gazes out at the Statue of Liberty from the deck of a ferry in the early 1900s. Children sled down a snow-covered path in Central Park. A photo of Times Square and its neon lights, taken over a century ago. A group of women lead the Manhattan delegation during a parade for the Woman Suffrage Party, a New York City-based political organization, through the city. Deputy Police Commissioner John A. Leach, Wright, watches as two men pour liquor into the sewer following a prohibition-prompted raid. A gussied-up flapper hangs a poster advertising the Greenwich Village Halloween Ball. Young girls dancing the Charleston in Harlem. Although the dance existed prior to the 1920s, it shot to popularity after appearing in the Broadway show Running Wild in 1923. A view of New York City's East Side in the mid-1920s. Curb market traders gesture with their hands to trade stocks on Wall Street in downtown Manhattan. A bankrupt investor tries to sell his luxury roadster for $100 following the 1929 stock market crash. Unemployed men wait in long lines for bread and handouts during the Great Depression. A young family enjoys the first day of skating on the pond near 59th Street and 5th Avenue in Central Park. Young riders enjoy a whimsical ride in goat-drawn carriages, showcasing the creativity of New York's child-friendly traditions. A vibrant street scene in the heart of Manhattan's Italian neighborhood, filled with energy, people, and color. Mrs. Libertine and her 3 young children, ages 4, 6, and 9, gather nuts in the dark basement of a tenement at 143 Hudson Street. A man crosses Greeley Square as young boys shout the headlines. New York's constant motion never stops. A group of mostly children pose in a narrow alley of Cherry Hill, a former neighborhood known for its poverty and resilience. Named after James Pulitzer, the Pulitzer Building was built to house the New York World newspaper and was completed in 1890. The structure was later demolished in 1955 to make way for motor transportation around the city, specifically on the Brooklyn Bridge. Shoppers flock to a department store located in Midtown Manhattan that boasts display windows filled with trendy hats. A group of women stand on the roof of Rockefeller Center with balloons in hand. The iconic building was completed in 1931. A couple stands on the roof of a Manhattan building with a view of the Chrysler Building. Completed in 1930, the Art Deco building was the tallest building in the world until the Empire State Building was constructed in 1931. Times Square is equally as energetic today as it was back in 1952, billboards and all. A man, woman, and 2 children from England share a modest living space, showing the harsh reality of immigrant life. A pretzel vendor stares directly into the lens, revealing the grit and hardship of New York's street workers. Longacre Square, just before becoming Times Square, already boasts the iconic New York Times building towering above. A man plays a street organ while his wife holds a tin cup to collect donations, a heartfelt glimpse into their struggle. Children play freely under watchful adult eyes, a rare breath of joy in the city. Prisoners march in the grim lockstep formation at Blackwell's Island Penitentiary, now Roosevelt Island. A classic street vendor displays sponges on a bustling sidewalk, an ordinary yet vivid slice of city commerce. Three girls play with dolls under a laundry line atop a skyscraper roof, urban childhood at its most imaginative. After a hard day of work, three young boys sleep on filthy steps in the Lower East Side, a haunting image of child labor and poverty. New York's iconic Radio City Music Hall was completed in 1932 by renowned architect Edward Durrell Stone. Cars make their way through traffic as they head up Park Avenue and through the Grand Central Station Passage. An aerial photo shows hundreds of immigrants arriving at Ellis Island, looking for new opportunity in America. During the time the passage was open, 1892 to 1954, there were approximately 12 million immigrants who traveled through Ellis Island. A 1950s wedding takes place at the altar of New York's landmark cathedral, St. Patrick's. The Catholic Church is still in use today, offering Mass every Sunday. The New York City skyline is seen in the background of this view down the train tracks entering the borough of Manhattan. Buildings have come and gone, but the New York City skyline from any point is staggering in its size and scope. Nicknamed the X-Man, Clark poses proudly with fellow competitors after his marathon victory. Percy Megargall and David Fassett arrive in the Bronx after an 11,000-mile round trip from New York to San Francisco. Decorated flags and joyful crowds celebrate a traditional Italian religious festival, transforming Little Italy into a vibrant, colorful street fair. Men savor fresh clams from a pushcart vendor, a flavorful slice of daily life. A quiet summer moment as a woman serves a drink to a man on peaceful Broad Channel Island, Queens. Erected in 1875, the Statue of Liberty was given as a gift to the United States from France. It stands on Liberty Island off the shore from Lower Manhattan. Two men stand on the catwalk of the almost completed Brooklyn Bridge in 1880. With just the motorway to finish, the bridge was opened 3 years later. In a brutal summer, people gather with buckets to receive free ice, urban survival before air conditioning. Officers of the New York Police Department's 20th Precinct pose as a unit outside of their station. An interior photo of the Grace & Company Bank shows off the vast size of the New York City Bank, complete with marbled columns. Crowds gather outside the New York Stock Exchange in October 1929, after the Wall Street crash. Through a foggy haze, you can make out the triangular shape of the Flatiron Building, originally named the Fuller Building. The building was one of the tallest in the city when it was completed in 1902. An aerial view of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade passing through Times Square. The parade started back in 1924. Tourists take a boat ride in Central Park. The small boat is able to fit underneath the park's small arch bridges. Women and children stroll down the streets of Harlem in New York City during the winter of 1933. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, or the Met as it's known, is one of the largest art museums in the United States and the world. After first opening in 1872, the museum moved to its current location adjacent to Central Park in 1880. A vantage point under the Brooklyn Bridge shows the reflection of the 1934 New York City skyline, which was a very different view from what's seen today. The museum opened its doors in 1881, and the iconic Brontosaurus skeleton was done being reconstructed in 1905. The first Rockefeller Center Christmas tree was a small, humble display in 1931. However, in 1933, the tree was 50 feet tree, and there was a tree lighting ceremony. 3 young girls ice skate on the pond in Central Park in January 1940. A beam of light streams through the skylight windows at Grand Central Station. Built in 1913, the train station is still in active use today. A New Yorker takes her dog for a walk amongst a snowy Central Park. A view from Fifth Avenue shows the Plaza Hotel nestled around the corner of Central Park. A female diner in Grand Central Station makes her way through the hot food line. A group of women stare out of a window overlooking New York City's Central Park in 1952. Originally constructed in 1903, Penn Station was once a marvelous design that rivaled Grand Central Station. However, in 1962, plans to demolish the landmark in order to build Madison Square Garden emerged. Despite protests, it was knocked down a year later. In its place is the subterranean-type station that exists today. 2 women enjoy a ride on one of the carnival rides at Coney Island. This historic photo shows the Western New York and Pennsylvania Railroad station. A stylish woman poses on the sidewalks lining Manhattan's East River. Scenic boat rides have long been a favorite activity of New Yorkers. Here's the photo evidence. Marilyn Monroe poses on the balcony of her room at the Ambassador Hotel. This is just one of the photos of the late actress around New York City that has become iconic. My, oh my, how things have changed. Many of the buildings on Main Street in this photo are no longer standing. A street view of Manhattan's Times Square neighborhood proves that not much has changed in the busy area. What a cool historic photo from one of the most impressive natural wonders in New York. A large crowd gathers in the ballroom at the Waldorf Astoria to see a performance in 1958. This old picture shows the Old Oval and other historic buildings, such as Steel Hall. Men carrying a "We March with Selma" banner lead 15,000 marchers through the streets of Harlem. This magnificent state park is considered one of the Empire State's best. This photo was from just 10 years after it was designated as a state park. A fashionable young woman walks uptown in New York City. The vineyards surrounding the lake were just as stunning back then. New Yorkers lined up outside of an employment agency in 1937. With unemployment at an all-time high, this picture was a familiar setting during the Great Depression. Needless to say, the main building of Ellis Island's immigrant landing station is certainly an important part of New York history. Another sight you often saw in New York City during the 1930s, people on strike and protesting in the streets. This photo of the Philip Eckel Monument shows it at its original location, at Butternut and North State Streets. Technology is always changing. Pictured below, you can see a woman working in a New York City tailor shop in 1936. This is one of the earliest photos of New York City. It depicts visitors to the Big Apple having a grand old time ice skating in Central Park, just as they do today. A New York City salesman attracting a large crowd of New Yorkers in 1936, doing whatever he can to make money during these hard times. This is another of the earliest pictures of New York City, and it displays an icon known across the globe. It's a photo of the Statue of Liberty as it was being reconstructed after being shipped over from France. Look at those strollers. Here you can see mothers with their children on the streets of New York City in 1936. New Yorkers and union protesters walking along the streets of New York City in 1936. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Who remembers? With someone who loves history as much as you do. See you in the next adventure.